Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. I'm Manir Dan Ali. Our guest today is Alhaji Bashir Ibrahim Danyaro, who has both studied and worked around the leather value chain. And that is exactly what we hope to understand in terms of the opportunities that are buried in it. Alhaji Bashir, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, and great to be with you.
Thank you.
Right.
I mean, I know in your CB you have studied more or less in your, later education, a lot to do with leather, both locally and internationally, and in areas that are known to be the leading edge in the world, in Italy, in France, and other locations. And you also rose to be the production manager of Bata. Bata used to be a very thriving shoemaking industry in Nigeria, and you were there for nearly 20 years.
Right.
What exactly are you doing at present?
At present, thank you very much. At present, I'm still in the leather business because this is the only business that I know. And I have been doing it, and I'm enjoying it, and I think I'm contributing my own quota to myself, to my country, and to the world in general.
Will you say that it is rising or it is falling in terms of the opportunities? Because, I did say in the introduction that Bata used to be one of the indigenous or locally
indigenous-based,
made shoe industry in Nigeria, but is now a shadow of its former self.
Right. Very good that you put that question now, because it should be our foundation. The shoe industry in Nigeria now is unfortunate. Instead of growing, it's going down. And also the leather industry. The leather industry, we used to have a very thriving leather value chain in Nigeria that is well acknowledged around the world because of the quality that we have on our skins, more especially the goat skin.
I remember when we were in primary school, among the export products, they used to list hides and skin.
Hide and skin, yes.
And it seems to have disappeared now.
Hide and skin is still there. Actually, that is my first area of working when I left secondary school. Because at our time, they used to recruit us from secondary school. I started working with veterinary office or veterinary department of Kano State. And we were employed to go to all the markets and supervised the slaughtering and the flaying or the removal of the skins from the carcass, and then subsequent curing, because immediately you remove the skin, if you don't cure it,
it could go bad.
It will go bad. It will start to rotten off, because water with bacteria don't stay together. You have to extract that water. How you extract it, then that is the curing method. At our time, and some up to now, at our time, there is what we call the open air drying.
That's the one where you apply salt. I remember I see where they apply salt.
This is the recent one.
Yes.
But before, we do the open air suspending drying and hanging. We have the, what do you call the hide, which is a bigger one. We have a frame. And the frame has a holes where we tie it and suspend it so that
you stretch.
You stretch so that it doesn't wrinkles. Yeah. And then for the goat skin and the sheep skin, we hang it on a wire mesh so that it does not cover the inner. Then the outside will be dried as well as the hair will be dried. So later after that one, before it starts to get hard, then we fold it and then arrange it to take it either for storage or we take it down to the tanneries.
Right, and this is where the tanneries come in, one of the value chains that treat the leather and turn it into skin ready made for making all sorts of
leather goods or footwear.
Right.
So the issue was that at that time there is a constant check and balances and also the tracing from the particular place where those skins are slaughtered up to the time that they reach to the tannery. So, and we have a method of follow off, because at that time no person is allowed to trade in it, in leather, in hide and skin, without getting a license from the veterinary department.
And now the system has broken down.
Totally, the system is not working.
Anybody can do whatever he likes.
Yeah, and I give you example. We are recently, Sokoto state government wanted to invest in the leather value chain because they found that there is a lot of that in Sokoto.
Especially the so-called Sokoto red gold.
Red gold, yes. Right. So they consulted UNIDO internationally.
That's United Nations
Industrial Development Organization.
Right.
And the UNIDO promised to come and find out what to do a feasibility study. In that course of duty, UNIDO employed me as a leather expert for them and me to go and study what is happening in Sokoto State, right, and do the feasibility studies. And when they came, the chief technical officer came from Vienna, Austria, and he met me. We discussed, and he gave me, in order to, when they were to employ me, they got all my papers, and they said that they want to see me personally. And when he came, he wanted to size me up. Yeah. He came to the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We sat down just like the way we are talking with you. And then he gave me a little assignment to see whether truly, because they hardly believe Nigerians.
Exactly, whether you are what you claim to be.
What I claim to be.
Yes.
Then immediately we did this thing. He looked at around with all the UNIDO officers in this, and he said, fantastic. He said, fantastic, and he said it's fast and qualitative, the response that he has got from me. And they said we should go ahead.
And what was your finding in Sokoto?
In Sokoto State, when we went there, the governor gave us who is still the governor now, Tambuwal, yes, Matawal in Sokoto, right. And then we did this very well and presented the report. And he said, yes, we should now move forward to actualize what we have already seen on that.
In the report. Are you now in the process of doing that, or is the project dead?
The project is not, I cannot say dead, but because the project took us even outside the country. We went
do all the necessary groundwork.
Yeah, groundwork. I organized a study tour with the UNIDO, which is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. They have an office in Italy, the ITPO. Together with the Nigerian UNIDO, myself, Sokoto State contingent, which was led by the executive governor, we went to Italy. And when we went to Italy, we were actually supported by the UNIDO in Italy to meet all the confederation of leather and footwear and leather goods manufacturers. And
because Italy is well known for the top quality,
top leather,
the kind of leather that fetches
a lot of money. And immediately they were keen when they had that Nigerian team are coming, because they want to set off a leather chain where they are going to do the tannery, where they are going to do the shoe and the other things.
Right.
So they gathered all the industry, big industry people there, so that we can now interact together. and then have the possibility of buying from them the machineries that we need to set up in Sokoto.
But where exactly are we? Because, you know, I'm curious that after all the study, all the trips, and all the ESTA codes, at the end of it all, is this factory or industry about...
It's not yet done, actually.
But is it still on track?
Yeah, I believe it's with the government of Sokoto State.
But you have a change of government which could well affect...
Change, because the man is leaving now.
Yes.
And everything, he can... what they even came to, from our finding, what they were shocked was that every blessed week in Sokoto, they transport 500,000 pieces of skin to Kano. 500,000
pieces.
Yeah, dealers,
right.
They buy and take it to Kano because they cannot process it in Sokoto. It has to move to Kano. So
and
meaning
because
that
Kano has
the processing. So the issue is that if they have those things that we did for them, they don't have to move that in. Their work will be done there, and then their people will be involved. They will be skilled, and the opportunity will be much, much higher than for you to just sell your raw material.
Yeah, exactly. You are adding value and processing instead of the usual raw material that Africa has been doing since the 19th century.
And that is one important thing that I will very much like to talk about the leather industry in Nigeria.
Can we, by unpacking it, can we go back a little before this? Because the Sokoto Red is producing, and Kano Brown are the ones producing the leather, which for hundreds of years is said to be transported to Morocco,
through the train,
in the Trans-Saharan trade route, and then gets to Italy, and then they say it's the best one, but it's Moroccan leather, which is what they call it.
That is true, but now they have realized that actually it's a Nigerian leather. That goat skin and that Kano Brown and the Sokoto Red, up to today, up to the time in front of the governor of Sokoto, it was told by those people they still want those things. But it was sad for them. Now the quality that is coming, reaching them, is not what it used to be because there is no control.
Yeah, the system of control has broken down.
Collapsed down.
Anybody can take anything.
And they can do whatever he likes. At the end of the day now, what they are telling us at that time is that any skin that comes to Nigeria, from Nigeria is automatically discounted before buying. They discounted some 10%, 20%, whatever, because they will never buy it at a premium quality.
Because is it because the treatment is not well treated, or is it because they are suspecting it is not the kind of skin that they are looking for?
The skin it is. It is the same skin. The issue is that the curing and the process, because in leather, you cannot repair it. Immediately it's damaged.
It's test damage.
That is test damage. No matter what type of technology you are going to add on top of it, it won't change it. If the leather has started to rotten, it rottens. So the issue is that the quantity that they are requiring now from Nigeria in that premium quality, they are not getting it. And what is the cause of that? Is because the control is not there. Before there was control. In every market, there is a hide and skin assistant there, together with a hide and skin attendant that collects those raw hide and skin and process it, cure them, and then pass it down to the owner. And that owner must give where he takes it to. So that, as you are aware, in Nigeria, we have what is called the hide and skin regulation of northern Nigeria.
That is the law governing the industry.
Yeah. And those governing the law is clearly stated that any skin, hide that is got out of the animal, if it is not for religious purposes or for naming ceremony, all those personal purposes, which is 1, 2 or something like that.
Right.
That one you can do whatever you can do with it. Nobody cares
the
about
one
that.
that people do when they
Yeah,
slaughter during Eid al-Kabir and all of that.
No,
for naming ceremony.
Naming ceremony. That one is for religious purposes, something you are allowed. But anyone that is for commercial purposes comes under the rules and regulations. You cannot eat it. You cannot do any otherwise. In fact, you don't have control over it more than what the government has, because the government, you must follow those. Those are the rules and regulation that is not available now, and that is what brought the quality of our skin internationally down.
But it's not as if the law is not there. It is there. It's just that even the government officials are either unaware of it, or they are not applying it.
Some are aware of it, but some, they don't care, because the whole of Kano State, we used to have a veterinary department where I started working. At one time, we were about 39 of us going to Zaria only to study leather and come back. And there are still others. But now the whole of Kano State, they have about 3 or 4 workers manning that, the whole state. How can it be possible?
Very interesting point about leather and the current situation we are in.
Right.
It's a conversation I would like us to continue after this short break.
Thank you very much.
And our guest today is someone who knows the leather industry inside out, and he's helping us to unpack the opportunities there. Alhaji Bashir, before we went on break, you are talking about the death of even the government officials that are supposed to help with the regulation of the industry. But what about the goats? Are there still enough goats? I mean, there has been banditry and all sorts of unrest in the northwest, where primarily these ruminants, that is, these animals, are grown. Hasn't that also affected the supply?
I can say one, the question is into two this thing. The population of the animals, that is the goats, sheep, and cows, or cattle, and camel, they are increasing. But the supply was distracted because, as you rightly said, because there are areas where those people going scouting for it cannot reach. But if you go by the migration of the animals in Africa, the Nigerian population of our sheep and goats and listen, it has increased considerably. By last count, the figure I saw for 2020, we are having over 200 million.
Why then are we importing, or is it been illegally done? That is skin of especially cows. I have seen truckloads of them coming from Sudan through Maiduguri. Or has it always been the case?
No, it has, that one comes about because of the economic situation in the country. The economic situation has drastically increased the consumption of hides.
Okay, cow skin.
Cow skin, because it is a delicacy for other people. And where other people, now even where they are not eating it in the north, now they are eating it.
So pomo has become a big delicacy, and is it in any way a threat to the leather industry?
It is and it is not. One, I can say that I always tell people that if it's all about price. You as a seller, anybody who is going to give you high price, you sell it to him. If those who are eating it will pay higher price, definitely they will get the skin. But if the tanneries can buy, process, and do a high quality material, obviously, consumer can.
Those who eat it cannot compete. They cannot afford it.
Yes, because if you take the leather by itself, now you are talking about a square foot of leather in the international market, it's about $30.
Just a square foot.
A square foot, yes.
And how many will you get on one animal skin, say a goat or a cow?
On one skin, on one cow, averagely maybe you can get 40.
So 40 times $30, that could be the price.
By the time you finish processing it.
Right, right.
So there now you can now know definitely a person who is going to consume it or who is going to eat it will not compete with you.
Is that why, for example, in Kano, there is this large concentration of tanneries, which in spite of the economic hardship, in spite of the lack of power and all the other challenges of industries, they are still there in business?
Yeah, there are other tanneries. Actually, the tanneries in Kano now that are operating are just wonderful.
There used to be more than that?
There used to be more than that. When I used to work, well, there are about 30 tanneries, but now they are not up to 8 in Kano. But the most important thing is that, which we as a people in Nigeria, the government, I cannot even blame the government because the government don't even know. But those who are competent, who knows? If the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now. We started manufacturing leather since 1958. There is a whole tannery that started to manufacture leather.
Process leather.
A tannery to turn leather, to turn skin into a leather. Since that time, up to today, we are still in one cycle because we don't grow. The leather industry is stagnant in one place for one reason, that the key players are benefiting from the system.
Is it because of that, what people sometimes call corrupt ECG? There is that thing about the export credit guarantee,
right,
which they say
that is part of it.
It's very murky.
That is part of it because you are left now, at the initial stage, we have what is called ban, because in every country, if you want to promote and to also to allow your indigents or the country to benefit, you have to add value to your products. Up to today, we are not exporting finished leather.
We are not.
We are not exporting finished leather.
So they just semi-process it and take it.
Semi-process and take it out. Before they say, okay, they are going to ban raw. Okay, it has been banned, fine and good. Then later on, they move and say, let's ban wet blue.
Which is like the first stage of the processing.
The processing. The wet blue, it has been banned for so, but up to today it's going. And one thing that caused that one was the reason that you put people who are going to do the pre-inspection, don't even know what is the difference from the clothes they are wearing and the leather. So when they just
show them anything they can, especially when there is the incentive of a little...
Right. And money. At the end of the day, what you ban will now fetch money for those people who are sending it out, because it will go as export promotion, something that you have banned. But because that the system is not being, it has been corrupted, then you will still collect money under EEG, which is about 20%. And the 20% is you and the person, because it's a back-to-back business that we know they are doing. You set up a company abroad, you send it to them and sell it to him, and then you tell him to put any price. And then at the end of the day, the government know now, you wire the money in, you can take it tomorrow. And government will give you 20%.
How do you think that could be dealt with?
The only way that we have, first and foremost, we have to have in our mind the fear of God and also the interest of our country. Because if this country does not progress, we will not progress. Individual cannot progress in a country where it's not progressing. And that is what is now choked the leather industry because it's stagnant. I say it's stagnant because it's still there. It's still there. They know I have been in this business for 45 years. And up to today, I'll give you an example. Pakistan just come maybe behind us or something like that. Today, if you see the amount of money Pakistan is making on football.
Yes, I think they manufacture, they do most of the football. I was there and they told us so.
That is the number one in the world. Football. They just selected and said, let's concentrate on that. What can we say Nigeria has concentrated on now? Only to be sending for other people to process? I show you one thing. You take, this is a wallet. This is a wallet. See? It's
made of leather.
Yeah, this is our goat skin. You take a skin of leather here in Nigeria, maximum goat skin, the maximum out, raw, is 1,000 naira. Maximum. Maybe you can get it 500, 700.
Right.
Then you go and process it. After processing it to this quality, maybe you add another 1 or 2 series, 2,000. Then the whole skin becomes about 3,000 naira. Then if you make this wallet in Nigeria and send it out, now you go to anywhere in Europe, you see you're looking for a leather wallet.
Yes.
The minimum you can get is about 10 pounds.
Just for one?
For one. So compare the 10 pounds now, weighs, and out of one skin, you can get about 30 of this.
What about the shoe industry itself, which you also worked on,
right,
having been production manager of Bata Nigeria Limited? Are you, I mean, is it, I mean, of course, obviously it's not vibrant. What is choking it in that case, in that instance? Really,
the issue what is choking the industry. Up to now, people say, okay, they make good deals, they make good success. There are two things that we must understand. Technology is not everything. There is a difference between technology and technical know-how. Technology involves maybe the machineries, the materials. You can use technology to change material, to do this thing, to do that thing. But the technical know-how, it's human. The person who is going to do it, yeah. This is what we like in Nigeria.
But what happened? Because we were doing it before.
We are doing it before because we have a leadership in the industry that invests in people to understand, to know. Nobody is training anybody now in the act of shoemaking in Nigeria.
But we are busy producing graduates in so many other fields, and then this practical crafts
is there.
Are not.
And the issue even was that the whole idea of the Leather Research Institute in Nigeria was to assist.
And we have that in Zaria.
In Zaria. That is where I went. It's my alma mater. I was there in 1976. But the issue is that we as Nigerians, we just look at things like a play.
We don't take it serious.
Yeah, we don't take it serious, and we don't even do the job.
Very valid point.
Right.
And I'm afraid on that note, we'll have to end this edition of this conversation. Thank you very much for coming for the program.
It is great. It's great, and I enjoyed it too.
Viewers, that is the end of this edition of 30 Minutes.